Thank you, Sir Dale. Our resource speaker for today is, so we'll wait for the slide. Okay. So she is a mathematics enthusiast, having graduated with a degree of Bachelor of Science in Mathematics, cum laude, in 2007 in St. Mary's University, and the Master of Arts in Teaching major in Math with distinction in 2012, and a Doctor of Philosophy Education in Science Education major in Math in 2017. So this young lady is also eager to learn. So I said young, but I did not have the consent to divulge her age. So you can just do simple math to determine her age. So she's very eager to learn. Her doctoral degree did not hinder her from advancing in the ladder of learning. She enrolled the Master of Science in Statistics at Benguet State University. But I think because of the pandemic, some problems cropped up. And presently undergoing a special training in the course Data Science as a Project Sparta Scholar. Sparta here is not the ancient city of Greece. Rather, it stands for Smarter Philippines through data analytics, R&D, research and development, training, and adoption. She's also loyal. Why? Studied in SMU in bachelor's and graduate degrees. She served SMU from April 16, 2008 to the present, rising from the ranks as student assistant, substitute secretary, to faculty member in the undergraduate and graduate students, to university citation in 2014, and presently as the project coordinator of the capability building program for science and math education of DOST SEI. Now we are aware that the high salary of those in the public schools or government sector is a strong force which gravitates a highly qualified individual to transfer. But our speaker chose to stay in SMU, and we are very thankful for that. She's also multi-awarded. So if I will mention all the awards she has received, it will take us some time because it covers 5 pages, size 10. Her awards range from Service Award for Loyalty Service, Service Excellence, Outstanding Performance, Magnificat Award for Service Excellence, and numerous. It's a long list of awards in creativity and innovation. And she's nifty, or if you Google this, it means great or skillful or good. And innovative. She describes herself as skillful in SPSS software and in doing academic researches. Concrete evidences of her skill and creativity are the researches she conducted through the years, some of which were published not only nationally, but also internationally, either as a solo author or a collaborator. She has 13 international research publications. As a matter of fact, Mamelay was awarded in the school year 2018-2019 with a plaque as the faculty with the greatest number of researches in international refereed journals. So indeed, the most prolific researcher. Added to her production are 2 books she co-authored with our CNS director, Dr. Medula, and another with the URC director, Dr. Duckles. Her skill in communication is also evident in her paper presentations nationally and internationally. She is often invited as an external evaluator in research conferences, both division-wide or region-wide. And to top it all, she is a peer reviewer of the Journal of Interdisciplinary Studies in Education based at Arkansas State University in the US, and the Journal on Efficiency and Responsibility in Education and Science of the Czech University of Life Sciences of Prague. She attended seminars and underwent trainings in research and teachings to equip her on the different roles she is performing now. That's part of the educator side. The 3 national trainings under Project STAR or Science Teacher Academy in the regions under the DOST-SEI qualified her as a regional trainer of public math teachers. Thus, her service as an educator is not confined to students of SMU because she was also invited to share her expertise in statistics, research, and teaching to other groups in the province and other neighboring areas. So my colleagues in the academe, I have the honor and privilege to introduce to you a math enthusiast who is very eager to learn, loyal, multi-awarded, nifty, innovative educator, and a very prolific researcher, Dr. Melanie Guzman Gurat.
Good morning. Thank you very much, Ma'am Vicky. What can I say? Maybe it's a wow. Maybe I'll treat you later for that. Okay, so can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, Dr. Melay, audible po.
Loud and clear po.
Okay,
Audible
thank you. So as mentioned, of course, our topic is road to publication. But of course, before we start, let's consider also hearing some of the voices of our participants through this card icebreaker. So maybe I'll just ask 3. Sir Deo, can you help me call 3 participants who will choose numbers from 1 to 24? So this question has nothing to do, of course, with publication. So it's anything around the anything that can be asked.
Yes, ma'am. For the first pin, I'll call 1. May we request Dr. Harrison Villanueva. Shall we choose 3, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Dr. Harrison. Also, we consider Ma'am Hazel Diaz and Miss Apple Nicolas. Miss Apple Nicolas, Ma'am Hazel Diaz, and Sir Harrison Villanueva. I hope.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let's start with Ma'am Sir Harrison. Where is Sir Harrison?
Present, ma'am.
Sir, can you choose numbers 1 to 24?
20.
Just 1.
20, ma'am.
Number 20. So let us see what is in number 20. Okay, so sir, if you could go to Mars, would you? Why or why not?
For me, I will not go to Mars, ma'am.
Why not?
Because I am afraid of going to the space.
Okay, thank you for that, sir. Thank you for your participation. So let's have one more participant. So who is the next one, Sir Deo?
Next one, ma'am, is Ma'am Hazel Diaz.
Ma'am Hazel.
Diaz, ma'am.
Ma'am Hazel Diaz, can you please choose number 1 from 1 to 24, just one.
Okay, good morning po. My birthday, 16.
So let's go back to number 16 and I'll open this for the question. Okay, so question number 16 I mean is asking you if you could live in any country, where would you live?
I don't have any plan to go in other places, ma'am, because I love Philippines. Yes.
So you're going just to stay here in the Philippines.
Yes.
Okay,
ma'am.
thank you for that, Ma'am Hazel. So actually, since you are a scholar, so you are of course expected to stay here to serve your country.
True, ma'am.
Okay, so for the last participant who will answer the question,
For our third participant, Ma'am Apple Nicolas.
Ma'am Apple Nicolas. Hello, Ma'am Apple. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, choose 1 to 24. One number.
Hello po.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, 22.
So let's go back to number 22. So let's open number 22. Would you rather live in the ocean or on the moon? So you have to make a choice. So would you rather live in the ocean or on the moon?
Ma'am, I want to experience to live in the moon.
Okay, so anyway, there's no question asking you to give reason. So okay, we accept your answer. You would rather live on the moon than in the ocean. Thank you very much for your participation. So hope that as we go on with this session, I will still of course get some responses from the participants. Okay, so as mentioned by Sir Deo, so let me just give an overview of this webinar. So we are going to have 3 sessions, sessions 1, 2, and 3. For session number 1, so we are expected to talk about manuscript preparation for publication, which will include IMRAD-C, the quality of the paper, and for the quality of the paper, so we are going to use 3 tools, the Mendeley, plagiarism checker, and the Grammarly for grammar check. But of course, this are just an initial checking. We still need the expertise of our language editor for the grammar check, and for the plagiarism, the service of the research center to help us identify the plagiarized item. And of course, with this session, we are expected to come up with our output in the workshop number 1. So just to have an idea of what is this, so you will be asked to convert your research manuscript to IMRAD-C format. So aside from that, you will also be asked to check the originality of the paper using the plagiarism checker that was sent last night. And it is also in our chat box if you do not have yet the copy. And then check your paper using Grammarly. And then of course, it is also very important that we get your output. So by saving it and sending it to this email. So sme.cbpsme@gmail.com. While for session number 2, by the way, if you do not have yet your paper, so you can use maybe your critic papers or essay just to experience using the tools. So to use the Mendeley, to use the Grammarly, and also to use the plagiarism checker. For session number 2, So we will be talking about how to search for Scopus journals and reputable journals. Actually, this must be the first one when you are doing or conducting research or crafting your paper. You have to consider that the materials that you are using are from reputable journals, particularly either in Scopus or as ISI. Then number 3, let's also, of course, consider publication charges, because there are a lot of Scopus journals, because, of course, this is not mainly for just for your paper, but for your possible, what do you call this, prospect where you want your paper to be published later. So, of course, we also need to consider the publication charges. But though there are there are some publications or journal publishers that do not accept fee. And then number 4, some ethical guidelines which will involve both in conducting the research and also, of course, in the, coming up with the list of what we call this, authors. So who will be the author of your paper, and also how to properly cite your reference materials. So it's considered under ethical guidelines. And even if, for instance, you will be also citing your own paper. So we have some issues about doing that. And for the output for that activity, or rather after that lecture, you are also expected for this workshop. So we have workshop number 2. You will be asked to save your files and PDF related studies in Mendeley. You will be also asked to complete missing data in your reference materials, to create a list of reference in APA format using 7th edition. Though some of papers or journals ask us to use other, what do you call this, other format, it would be easy for us to reformat it if we used Mendeley. That's why I am, of course, encouraging you to use Mendeley. And then it will again be submitted to us. For the 3rd session, so we will also be talking about this instruction for authors, creating an account, formatting manuscript, sending the manuscript, waiting for reply, doing the revisions, and resubmitting. So maybe in this session, I will just share to you some of my experience, some of the reply that I received, some of the things that they asked me to do. And then, of course, before my paper was published. And then other concerns that you would like to ask later, or that you would like to include in case that we miss some of our we miss this in some of our sessions. And number 6, publication process. This publication process that is here is the publication process based on the selected journal where you intend to publish your paper. So of course, you might think that, why did I start with the publication process? And I mean, why will I end with the publication process, when in fact, this must be also mentioned at the first session. But as I have mentioned, we are of course talking about the publication process in the journal. And for the workshop number 3, you will be creating a possible list of Scopus journals with publication charges and website in your field, to save your files, and also to come up with, of course, the format. And then for workshop number 4, you will be asked to create your prospect journals, account to your prospect journals, to review the publication process, to download the template of the journal, to edit your paper using the journal template. And of course, aside from that, if you are going, of course, to do these workshops, or you will come up with already a paper ready for publication, or for publishing. But of course, as I have mentioned, we still need to consider another plagiarism check, which will be done in the research center. And of course, you have to ask your advisor or editor, language editor, to still check your paper. And then after that, if you're done, then of course, we are hoping that we are going to congratulate you too, because at that time you are ready to start your journey in publishing your papers. So it's quite promising, but of course, if you can do it little by little as we go on, maybe we can target this final output. Okay, so going back, let's go back, of course, to our first session, because this is still our day one. So what do we need to know about manuscript preparation for publication? So we have here letter A, Imrad C. Are you ready? Can I just see? Oops. For a while. Sino kaya to? Sorry for that interruption. So the question is, are you ready? So can you just use the reaction thumbs up if you are? So thank you for responding, Ma'am Reggie. How about the others? Okay, anyway, if you are not yet ready, because of course we have too many things to consider before coming up with this final paper for publication later, let's tick no. So let's just play a game again. So the game is 4 picks and 1 word. So for sure, you are very much familiar with this. So this is the level number 1. So again, I need your participation. Who knows what's the answer for this level? Anyone? Sir Vince Errol.
Just a guess, ma'am. Abstract.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. So number 1, level number 1 is abstract. Thank you, sir. So let's move to the next level. So this is level number 2. So who knows the answer for level number 2? Please help me locate other participants who wants to answer, because I cannot see it in my screen.
Shall I call for a participant, Doc Menay?
Those who wants to answer, sir, baka alam nila yung sagot, naka-raise siguro, just like Sir Vince kanina. So any guest with this picture? Wala po. Naku, level 1 lang tayo. So paano yung level 2? So what do you think is the answer in this figure? Or
First
you
letter,
can
ma'am. First letter.
Sir Jason Golayan. Yes, ma'am.
letter
Sige po,
R.
research.
Research. Yes, thank you, sir. The answer for this is research. Okay, so let's move to level number 3. So how about level number 3? So what is this? So it's a modified, because if we are going to play 4 picks, 1 word, the word scrambled letters of the word can be seen in the figure. But for our game, we do not have the letters. So who knows the answer for level 3? It starts with letter M. Oh, it's already a clue. It starts with letter M.
Meeting.
Hello, ma'am.
Meeting. Yes.
Meeting.
Yes, correct po. So the answer for level for this item, it is meeting. Yes, you are correct. And so we actually have just until level 5. So for level 4, how about this? Meeting, and then number 4, level 4. Letter P. It's
Planning.
letter P.
Planning.
Pardon?
Planning po.
Planning.
Planning. Yes, the answer is planning. And the last one, level 5,
Proposal.
it's proposal. So if you notice, all the words here from level 1 to level 5 has something to do with our topic, which is, or in general in research, or even of course, because of the main objective or our ultimate goal to publish. So these are all connected with our discussion today. Again, thank you for your participation. So now let's move to our virtual blackboard, and let's use word search. So if I may just place my link here. So just for a while. Sige, I want to go back to the chat box. Can you see my screen?
Yes po, ma'am. Nakikita po, Doc Melay.
Even my Facebook account?
No po. Just the...
Oh, okay. Just the screen. Okay. Just checking. Sir Deo, can you please share the link to our participants? It's in the messenger. I cannot find my chat in my screen. Okay, so let's just go to our virtual board and still talk about what is the Emerald Sea all about. Ayan, meron na pala. So kindly click the link so that it will be directed to our virtual blackboard. And then let's move to, how about my virtual board? Can you see my virtual board on your screen?
No po, ma'am.
No.
Yung PowerPoint na.
Sige. For those who can access the virtual blackboard, can you find for the words that you think is connected to what we are talking about today? So please do not move our figure. You can use the pen, you can use the highlight on the left side. So it's located at the left side. And then just underline, circle, so whatever you can see. So everyone, please do not move our figure, because if you move that, it will cause problem to whatever is already located. while I am I'll just stop share and go to my Jamboard. So this
Ako
is
po, na-delete na po
oh my
nila yung
God, what
Jamboard.
happened? So where's our game? So ayan ang ano pag sobra palang dami ng maglalaro, no? So ayan, nasa na yung ating figure. So if just in case you find the word, so we have in our slides 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, the parts that we are talking about: introduction, methods, results and discussions, conclusions, and recommendations. So what I want you to do is from the words that you see in the word search, can you type it in the parts where you think it is applicable? So you can use this text box, I mean. Pwede ba? So nawala na ba talaga? Is it totally gone? Where is our figure? Nawala na? So I have to bring it back.
It's
So
gone.
that wala na. So mukhang na-delete na ng ating participant, na sobrahan yata ng participant. Sige, let's go back to that. I actually have a copy here because I foresee that this will happen. Let me just so I'll bring back our figure. So if you see a word, though it's okay if you can't access, for instance, the icons there, you can place the words in the number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, 6, and 7. So I just bring back our mukhang hindi ko na din siya maibalik. Saglit lang. Okay. Okay, ayan na. So, for instance, I see someone who underlined current research. Saan kaya ito dapat nakalagay? So, nasa introduction. So, procedure. So, result and discussion. So, for conclusion, of course, we have the word conclusions. Recommendations, wala pang naglalagay. So, you can go back to the road to publication. So, and then select the word. So, it's okay if you're not going to underline it. Just get the word and place it where it should be. So, is it in the... You can move your frames or the slides here using the icons above. We have the arrow. Next frame. So maybe we can just have 5 minutes. Ano na po ang nangyari sa ating mga participants? So thank you very much for your participation. Nakikita ko dito na talagang nagpa-participate kayo because of course I cannot already control the figure because you are also moving it. Okay na ba tayo? Sige, just place it here, okay? Current research, procedure, instrument. Yes, you are correct. Result and discussion. So we have the word interpretation. We also have the word conclusions. How about for recommendations? Can you not find also word for recommendation? So sorry for erasing your answers so that we can just clear our figure. Okay, so You have your procedure. Wala na ba? How about this? Design, data analysis, importance, figures, participants, support. So can you just place this word, whether it is applicable under introduction, methods, result and discussions, and conclusions. So last 2 minutes maybe, and then let's go back to the lectures. So feel free. So 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. Thank you for the 31 participants who logged in or who entered our virtual Blackboard. Though I cannot see who are your names here. Okay na tayo? Sige, mukhang okay na. So again, thank you for your participation. So you can leave the virtual Blackboard, I mean. And let's go back to our PowerPoint. Okay. So to summarize, of course, if we are talking about emergency, so that's the essential parts that we have to prepare for us to publish our papers. So of course, in your full-blown papers or in your full papers, whether it is a thesis in undergrad, thesis in masteral, dissertation, so it is in chapters 1 to chapters 5, which includes a lot of other subsections. But in the journal publication, so we just need abstract. So this is actually not included in the emergency, but it is essential part of the paper. So you have to include abstract, introduction, methods, result and discussions, conclusions, and recommendation. So just to have, again, a review of what will be the content of the abstract. So the abstract tends to follow a fairly set form that models the structure of the IMRAD report. So you have to place at least one sentence on importance. So why is your study important? 1 to 2 sentences on the method. So what was done? 1 to 2 research sentences on the results. So what you found. 1 sentence on implication. What changes as a result of your findings. So these are the essential parts of the abstract. Usually in a research paper, if it is a full-blown, we can come up with 200, maximum of 250 maybe, or 300 words. But in the journal, they ask us to limit it into 150 words only. So which means even if you are done with your abstract in your full paper, you still need to do some revisions to meet the number of words needed. Okay, so for introduction, so of course, you have to show why the subject is important. That's why some of you place the word important under introduction. You also need to summarize what is known about the topic. You articulate a gap in the knowledge, something that is not known, and explain how the current research will help fill this gap. Because of course, in the journal format, there is no review of related studies and literatures anymore. So it will be placed everything in the rationale or the introduction part. So as long as if you can see that you were able to show why the study is important, to show what is known about the topics, maybe you can cite some researches, And that is another thing that we're going to talk about also in our next session. But of course, in the introduction, as I have mentioned, when you are explaining what is known about the topic, you have to make sure that you can that you use related studies and literatures to support your claims. So you cannot just say, or you cannot just mention an opinion there. So you have to use related studies and literatures. And how will you know that your reference material is something that is, of course, reliable and valid? So that's, again, the reason why we have a session that will talk about searching for reputable journals, because as much as possible, we have to consider that the studies that we're going to mention or the materials that we're going to use in our paper is from reputable journals. So this will add, of course, a good quality to our paper. So of course, we have to consider the quality. And in the mentioning all of this, or in the using reputable journals, as I have mentioned, you are, of course, increasing the quality of your paper, even in articulating the gap in the knowledge. So you of course still need to do that and explain how the current research will help fill this gap. So you, in the some of the papers, or rather in some of the format in the journals, they will not ask you to state the statement of the objectives anymore, just like what we are doing in the full-blown papers, or the statement of the problem. So it can be placed as last part or the last paragraph in your introduction. And while for the methodology, what are the things that you need to place there? Of course, the sections, or rather the subsections that you are familiar with. So we have the designs, the participants, so whether it is the what we call this, respondents or subjects of the study, research instruments, procedures, the data gathering, for the duplication, so the data gathering procedures, and I missed one, data analysis or the treatment of the data. So as much as possible, you have to include everything that is listed here when you are summarizing your methodology, because as I have mentioned, we have to limit it. May I go back with introduction? So with regards also with the problems, because of course from 300 300 pages, I mean, of your full paper, you will reduce this into 6,000 to 10,000 words only. And of course, you have to do something about it. But what I can suggest is that to focus mainly in one particular problem. So if you have 5 problems in your research paper, you can actually make 5 papers or 4 papers out of it. So that's actually one of the strategy. But of course, you cannot copy the original, or you cannot use the same introduction to all of that paper. So you have to craft another, or you can use the related literatures and studies if it is formatted in, or if it is presented in thematic format. So pwede nyong gawin yun. So first, for the introduction, aside from considering all of these items as mentioned, you can also just focus to 1 or 2 problems only. Actually, that is one of the thing that also that is also needed for you to have an in-depth discussion of your problem. Because if you will just imagine that you have, of course, 5 problems, and then you are going to shorten that into 6,000 words. So what happens now to the beauty of your result and discussion? So it will really limit the discussion. So for you to really reveal what is the what is your findings So you can limit your problem into one paper for your problem 1 or one paper for your problem 1 and 2. So you can do that because it will be really a challenge for you how to decrease the number of words. So it's as mentioned, it is 6,000 to 10,000 words only, and it depends on the the journal that you're going to consider later. So let's go back to methodology. So as we have already discussed, so these are the essential parts that can be seen under methodology. And as long as you have this, even if the template later will vary, so because some of the template of the journals they will consider only one paragraph or two paragraphs. So it's easy to do that if you have already fixed your papers in a way that you combine the designs, the discussion on designs, discussion on participants, on your instruments, and data gathering procedures. For some, you can also include the scope and the limitations here, but not necessarily placing the subsection under methodology. So you can place this under part maybe of the procedure or the part of data analysis, as you are of course mentioning about how you're going to work on your papers or on how will you answer your research problems, I mean. Okay, so how about for result and discussion? So of course, you are expected to present tables, the figures that will answer your research problem. So if you have a lot of tables or several tables there, you have to think of a way how will you combine that in one table. Because of course in the full paper, in thesis, in dissertation, you are expected really to discuss everything, but for journal you have to think of a way how will you present that in one table, but all of the important things that is there is in the table. So you have also to consider first level interpretation. This is the statistical interpretation, second level interpretation. So you can use, of course, the support. So we are referring here to the support. It can be in the, from the related studies, or it can be support from interviews. And then third level interpretation, the implication of the findings. So we have to make sure that first, second, and third level interpretations are placed under your result and discussion. And also, some again of journals, because of course we do not know where will you publish later. So some of the journals will separate result, another section for result, and another section for discussion. So as long as you know that usually for result, the first level interpretation will be combined with the tables and the figures. And then for the second and third level interpretation, this will be placed under discussion. So that is, of course, if the journal has separate section for result and discussion. So you will realize that later if you will already search for your prospect journals that you want to, where you want to publish your papers. For conclusions and recommendations, some journals also do not require conclusions and recommendations. Some place it under result and discussions as one. So, but as long as I have mentioned, you have this part and you know that this is part of the conclusion, later if you will again reformat your paper based on the requirement of the journal, so you can just merge it with the result and discussion. Or it can be that result, conclusion is separate from recommendation. So it depends really on the journal that you're going to choose. So for the conclusion, so you have to explain implications. So this is actually the third level interpretation already. So that's why, as I have mentioned, some of the papers or some of the templates of the journals do not require anymore a separate section for conclusion. So it's like that, maybe it seems that it is already redundant. And recommendations, and then suggest future. Of course, you have to suggest future research that could be done. But of course, you have also to consider, more importantly, recommendations that will be based on the conclusion. It is directly connected with your, what you call this, with your conclusions. So this is just a review of what are the particular parts that you can or that you must have when you are going to publish. So you must prepare a paper wherein you have your introduction, methods, results and discussions, conclusions, and the recommendations part. And of course, let's move to the next session, or rather to the next part, quality of the paper. So I listed 3 here. So using Mendeley for reference, plagiarism check, and grammar check. And I also mentioned that the link of our materials for this were sent, the link was sent to you. May I know if you have if you have installed it in your unit right now? Mendeley, plagiarism, and grammar. Please react if yes, or even if it is no. So what are our options there? So if not, please try to, what we call this, to install the Mendeley in your computers or laptops. And then we also have the plagiarism check and grammar check. So if you are done with your initial part, that's the introduction to result and discussion, the next thing is, of course, to do some preliminary assessment. But this Mendeley for reference is still part of the paper. It's just that most of us commit mistake in writing the references in APA format. So to get away from that mistakes, we can use the Mendeley for references. And also, as I have mentioned, not all the journals will require you to use the APA format. So it will be really very hard for us to, again, try to change the format of our paper, or rather of our references, if they will ask us to change the format of how we wrote our references. That's why, as mentioned, even in our overview, you have to use Mendeley and make sure that all your reference materials are saved in the Mendeley, so that later, whatever will be the format that will be asked by our journal, it is easy for us to change. And then one thing more, in the placing for references, if we say it's references, it means that all the authors there, can I just close this for a while? All the authors there are cited in the paper if it's references. But for books, it's bibliography, because even if it is not cited in the paper, but it is used just to review the paper, and it's not cited, so we can still place it there. But for research papers, what we use is the references. So if you are going to decrease, because of course you really need to do that, because your paper in the thesis or in your dissertation, as mentioned, is 150, 200 pages, 300 pages, which will be decreased into 6,000 to 10,000 words only. some of the cited materials will be removed. So in your paper, if you exclude some of the authors, because it's of course part of removing some of it, then you also need to do revisions in your references. So you will remove all the authors there that is not cited in the manuscript. So that is one of the common what do you call this, comments that I see in some of the reviews. So even me, when I'm doing a review of other papers, so I can see that they, because maybe of some revision, so they exclude some of the authors there, but they failed to do that in the referenced part. And then for the plagiarism, this is very important because in my experience, sending papers, the number one what they call this process or step that they do is to run a plagiarism check to your paper, and if you failed to pass, automatically they will send you a letter rejecting your paper. Maybe it depends on the percent of plagiarized items. So if it's maybe a minimal, it exceeds just a little bit in the given or in their standard rating, so they will, it can be that they will just ask you to revise your paper. So you have to do rephrasing, rewording, all of those stuff just to get away from the plagiarism, a very large value of plagiarized trait in your paper. So again, to go away from that, we will do some initial plagiarism check. And then for grammar check, of course, as part of the paper, we really have to ask the expertise of the language editors to help us. But just to help ourselves, we can do a grammar check using Grammarly. So maybe it can in a way it can check some basic grammars, but it is still recommended that your paper be checked by language editor, maybe at the last part before publishing it to the journals. Okay, so can we just may I know if you already installed the Mendeley? So if not yet, so may I just show you, just in case that you are not yet done. So let's go to, I just this share screen. So you are provided with this folder, and under the publication tools, we actually have these three. So for Mendeley desktop, I know for sure that you are familiar with how to install it. So you just need to click and then click yes, and then just follow the step. So let me just do it again. Though it's already installed in my computer. I agree. Next, install. So this is how, of course, to install our Mendeley. And then for the Grammarly, then finish. So that is just okay. So of course, I have already here some of my reference materials that I used before. So what you can do, if you do not have account here, because I think before you can use Mendeley, you have to create account in the Mendeley. So you can use your Gmail account to do that. And then after that, of course, you can already access this and it will look like this. So how helpful is this Mendeley? So if we will just consider some of, I'll create another folder. And then just use, okay, let's go here. So this is not yet part of, this will be discussed in our next session, but I just need to get some of reference materials so that you will see how it will work. So for this part, so just allow me to click it without explaining, because as mentioned, this will be explained in our next session. So mathematics. Subject area, journals. So I will just download one particular paper here. So of course, I can just choose any paper here. Anyway, I am not using it. It's only for the purpose of coming up with a journal. Oops. So let's see if we can go to their journals. I just need an article. Ito. Sige. So I'll download this. So this is from reputable journal. I can claim it because I use the Scopus. So evident, I of course no question asked, it is indexed in the Scopus. Okay. So using this, I'll just transfer. Oops. Ay, nasaan na siya? Ay, teka lang. Let me go back again. I think I did not click this. Ah, nasa desktop pala. Okay, maybe I'll just place it here. Ayan. So, of course, if you have those lists, so you already obtained, go back to all your reference materials. And then the next thing that you're going to do is, madami nang masyadong naka-open. Saglit lang. Ayan. So here you can add and then locate your where is that folder? Ito. So, kunyari ito yun. So, open. So, I agree. Though, mali yung aking folder na napuntahan, ano? Kasi it's placed under my publication, hindi dapat siya nakalagay dyan. And then, all you need, the point here is you can place the materials. You can place all the PDF files in the Mendeley desktop. So, in a way, makakabawas siya sa mga nakasave sa computer ninyo dahil nandito na siya sa Mendeley. Pero kailangan nyo pa ding i-delete, of course, yung nasa folder na yon para totaling mawala siya. Dagdag na magpapabigat dun sa storage sa computer. Okay, let's go back. Asa na ba tayo? So yun. So in adding your documents, you can actually add the whole folder. Meron tayong add na whole folder dito. Dito kayo pwedeng mag-create. If you click this, sample. Sige, lagyan natin na sample. Ito na siya. Tapos, diba, it's in our recently added. So this to one. We can also go over kung kompleto yung details. Ito yung isa sa sinasabi ko. We have the author. Pero I have to click this just to review what are the things that are not placed. Kasi kung nakita nyo, ito yun o. Wala siyang journal name. So you have to place the journal name. So you still need to go back. Ano ang pangalan ng journal natin? Or maybe we can just go back to the paper na din. Ayan. Advanced, Science Advances. So we can place it here. So after downloading your materials, you have to check it one by one and make sure that complete yung nakalagay dito. Take a look at this. Wala din siyang URL. So I again need to go back to the paper. Anyway, kapag ka nailagay na, all is set here, there will be no problem anymore in revising your references as long as everything is here. So let me check the DOI or the URL. Saan ba natin i-check ang ating URL? Pwedeng ito. Balikan natin yung actual na date na kinuha natin. So ano ba yung kinuha natin? Community factors, no? Ito. So you can also copy yung link address niya. Can we just try to do that? Ayan. So we can use this to locate or to place yung kanyang URL. Then let's go back. Let's go back to the Mendeley. So it will be, in a way, consume time. Ayan na, nakalagay na. So nandito na ba lahat? Ayan. So ayan na, no? If you will open Microsoft Word, kasi nandun yung study mo, ano? And then you use this. If you installed the Mendeley, you can actually find the Mendeley here. under references. Nakikita nyo? Ayan. Ito siya, oh. So
Wala po.
makikita nyo yung, hindi nakikita. Of course, you cannot, if you are doing this in your computer or taking it take notes pala, kasi syempre mahirap naman na while using your computer for Zoom, you are also performing yung ginagawa natin. If you installed the Mendeley, you can find this. So insert citation.
Ma'am, yung,
can-
yung Mendeley po ang
Melay.
naka-share.
Okay, sige. Napindot ko na naman. Iba na naman ba ang kwan? Sige. I'll go back again. Stop share. Share screen. Palitan ko ng screen share. Ayan. So, if you open your Word, diba ganyan siya kanina, no? Nandito ko sa home. You can find the references here. References, andito yung Mendeley. Basta, of course, you installed Mendeley. Insert citation, kunyari, go to Mendeley. Ito yung sinite ko, no? Ito lang, oh. I-click-click nyo lang yung balik ako dito. Mali na pindot ko. Ito siya, no? I-click nyo lang yung site. So, ayan siya, oh. So, halimbawa, I took some words from, kunyari lang, ano, I'll copy some. Kunyari ito. Pero syempre, I am not encouraging you to copy and paste. So, kunyari lang. So, this is the cited material. Ayan. So, ilalagay ko na ngayon yung kanyang citation, Zeng et al. So, it is from that journal. So, insert citation lang. So, nandito na. Tapos, if I want to insert the bibliography later, I'll just do that. And here it is. So, if you will use this, makakasigurado ka din na lahat ng minention mo, sinite mo, as long as you do that step, ay lalabas ka agad. Ayan o. Ito yun. So, wala tayong issue. We cannot claim na mali ito, tama ito. You just need to check na lahat ng info. Nakita niyo yung ginawa ko kanina dito. Dinoble check ko na dapat meron lahat. So, yun lang din. Kasi for some, wala talaga. So, ito. Book. Or even dun sa mga publications. Yung iba wala eh. Ayan. So, kunyari, ito yung na-cite. Walang clear thought itong ginagawa natin, ano? So, insert citation, ulitin ko lang uli. Go to Mendeley. I use this, diba? This is the one that I use as my materials. Again, click cite. Tignan nyo. Nagkamali siya on how to, what do you call this? To cite it, mainly because hindi ko din dinoble check kung tama yung pagkaka-state dito. So, dapat last name, comma, first name. So, possible, just like this, naka-last name at saka naka-first name. So, dapat i-double check nyo din kung maayos yung pagkakalagay ng entry. So, pag chinek ko ito, Sugurat, Melanie. Let's just double check kung anong nangyari. So, kailangan pa rin pala, hindi siya automatic na site. Site. Ayan, okay na siya. At dahil clinic ko na yung insert bibliography, andyan na din. So what if pinabago sa atin ng journal, iba yung format niya. Ayan lang. So if I'll change this into 11th edition, medical, so ganyan ang itsura niya. So 1, 2. So nababago. Kunyari, it's Chicago Manual, 7th edition. So mababago din. Pero, of course, kung doubtful pa din kayo, mas okay pa din syempre na you have to double check kung, yun nga, sabi ko, mainly you will commit mistake, especially if you did not check the entries. So you have to check the entries here. So pwedeng isa-isahin nyo, o just like this, wala na namang author na nakalagay. So you have to place the author. Or you go over, wala siyang publisher, mga ganun. So it is not necessary to place the abstract, hindi naman necessary yun. Pero for some parts, like yung, pili tayo ng iba. Kasi conference paper yun. Nagre-reflect ba siya? Ayan. So you still need to double check. Parang ito, the journal is Zenodo. Kasi Zenodo yung ginamit nilang platform. But it is not Zenodo. So you have to go back para mailagay dito yung author. Hindi naman din ganun siguro kahirap later gawin because of course mabe-benefit naman tayo once na iset natin lahat ng mga journal. Sabi ko nga, kadalasan, dito tayo nagkakamali sa pag-cite. So, if naayos lahat ng reference materials mo, nandito lahat. So, while doing your paper, if you do not have yet your paper, you can place all the reference materials here. So, you can also, of course, come up with, parang ito, problem solving sana, nilipat ko siya dito. You can also use these folders. So dapat clinic ko to kanina samples before I add. So that all the papers that I will be adding will be placed under this folder. So if you have a study or if you want to come up with a folder so that it will be easy for you to locate your reference materials, like if it is in thematic arrangement, then you can also do it here. So it will be based on your main variables. So you just need to create. Pwede namang mag-create folder. Depende dun sa dami. Pero if it will be too much for you din na kalat-kalat yung folders mo, then maybe for one study, you can create a folder for that and all the reference materials will be placed there so that it is easy to go back. It is also easy to cite it later. So, ganyan siya. Pero, one problem that I encounter here is that when I copy it in another document, i-copy natin, tapos i-cite ko uli. Wala na siya. So, which means dapat meron kayong nakasave na parang main file ninyo. Kasi later in that template, yung mga format natin na gagamitin, they will ask you to copy and paste your work in the template that you downloaded in the journals. So they will ask you that. And pag nagkamali na nga, so which means you have to go back to your main source of the paper and then change it first before copy and paste it to the template that you are asked to do. Okay, do you have question in using the Mendeley? Madali lang siya, di ba? So if you were asked to, what do you call this, to come up with a research paper, critic paper, or kung anumang papers yan, and you have your reference materials, I suggest na even if your paper is not yet final, dapat nakasave na siya sa Mendeley. ano ang disadvantage nito? Dapat meron kayong internet. Yun lang pala. So this is only available if you have your internet connection. I cannot show you pala, no? So anyway, you have to try. I think if your journals are already placed in the Mendeley, you can use it even offline. But if it is not yet there, and then you're going to download it, of course, and place it there, yun yung magiging problema ninyo. You really need internet connection. Pero if it's there, you can use it here. So references, insert bibliography, open Mendeley, insert citation. So ganun lang siya kasimple. So you can change the format. May more style pa kung madami wala sa listahan. Ayan. So nandito lahat ng format. So IEE, kunyari, ayan, ganyan siya. So hindi masyadong mahirap para sa atin. So for this activity, may task kasi kayo for this. You will be asked to go back to your reference materials. For the workshop, you can maybe just get 5 of the research materials. But for your use later, because you intend to publish your paper, then it is advisable, of course, that you have to go back to all the cited references. But you need to go back if it's really in the manuscript, kasi baka naman ang dami ng nasa listahan ng references mo, hindi naman pala siya talaga cited. Okay, let's move. Nasa na tayo? Kailangan natin yung ating PowerPoint para we will be reminded of the next one. So we're done with how to install, to save reference materials in Mendeley, and to generate references. So the next one, plagiarism check. So if you again also installed the plagiarism, it's free to check if how's the percent of plagiarism, plagiarized item, the original, the reference, but it cannot provide you with details. Kasi if it's with details, kailangan magbayad. Kaya nga sabi ko, you can just use it for initial checking. But it's up to you later if you want to purchase, kasi nandun naman din yung link for you to purchase. Pero of course, we also need still the assistance of the research center later for you to be guided on how to edit your paper, in case, of course, that there are some paragraphs that needs to be revised. Kasi kung minsan, for the plagiarism, lumalaki ang value niya ng plagiarized item kapag nagkamali din kayo ng paglagay, for instance, ng quotations, di ba? Kinopy and paste nyo yun, sinite ninyo. Kasi the claim is like this. Why will be, I will be, what do you call this? Plagiarized, when in fact, I cited the author. Parang ganun sana yung claim. You use quote and unquote. Yes, it's true that you use quote and unquote. It's true that you cite it, pero you did not use quote and unquote to show that this is a reference. Kasi kapag nilagay mo, magiging reference material yun. So yun yung common mistake na isa. And of course, it is not really correct that you will just copy it. That's why if you want to make sure that it's original, then don't copy. You read the materials, and before you write the paper. Do not just copy, paste, and then connect it later. So it will be hard for you to reword it, to rephrase it if you're going to do that. But you have also to make sure that you're not changing the statements of the authors. Yun din naman ang parang, anong tawag dito? Magiging problema kung hindi siya plagiarized. Yes, you cited the author pero binago mo naman pala yung sinabi na niya. So hindi na siya yung nagsabi nun. There are some materials, there are some, what they call this, online paraphrasing tool. Pero in my experience working with those tools, yung paraphrasing tool kasi, if you're going to place the whole statement and then generate or convert it, clinic nyo yon, it will give you paraphrased, pero hindi, kuminsan parang hindi na siya maintindihan. Or kuminsan, it's literally converted. So parang hinanapan lang niya ng mga synonyms. So for me, I don't advise to use that. There are existing na halos lahat na meron. So meron tayong grammar check, meron tayong for reference, meron tayong for plagiarism na accessible internet, meron tayong dun sa problema yung paraphrasing. So maybe you can do that, pero hindi totally na whatever is generated there, just copy and paste it. Hindi totally na ganun ang gagawin nyo. Kasi sabi ko nga, there are times na it's already totally changed. Kasi you set parang you have to set the number of words, kung masya-shorten siya ng sobra, medyo mahaba. So pag medyo mahaba kasi, it will give you parang exactly the same, except that yung mga synonyms ng words, yung mga nagamit. So you can explore that. Pero sabi ko nga, it's not included here because I do not highly recommend it. Kasi mas okay pa din na yung understanding you with the article ang i-consider natin. Basta make sure that you don't change the meaning, you don't change yung statement. Because you are claiming na sila yung nagsabi nun. So what is the acceptable percentage of plagiarism report? So based on my research, though I did not place the reference, so that's wrong. Pero the idea, kasi ano lang din yun forum lang din yung mga nabasahan ko nito. Not all journals will state to you kung ano ang passing rate nila. So you do not know, kasi syempre you do the plagiarism check, and then sa SMU kunyari, the passing is 95, you pass the 95%. Pero pag ginamit mo pala yung journal, sa kanila dapat 97 halimbawa ang original. So hindi pa din siya pasado. So you also need to check all of those things. Or you have to make sure na talagang at least below 15% siguro yung plagiarism, 5% or 10% para in a way you will pass the first screening, because that's the first screening. So what if diba, before you can hardbound your paper, before it will be submitted in the graduate school, you will be asked to do plagiarism checking, and you passed 99% pa ngang original. Ang plagiarized 1% lang. And then you reduce your paper into 6,000 words. You just considered the first two problems, kasi sabi ko nga, hindi din naman maganda na ilalagay mo lahat ng problems, kasi doon sa ginawa mong 6,000 words, baka tig-iisang sentence na lang ang answer mo para doon sa mga problem mo. So hindi na siya masyadong hindi na siya masyadong nai-explain. So nawawala na yung ganda nung sana kung nag-focus ka lang sa one or two problems, mas maganda yung kinalabasan kasi well explained under result and discussion. So you reduce it. So balik tayo doon you reduce it. And then because you are confident that it is 99%, you converted your paper into a publishable format, you follow the template, and you submitted the paper. Unfortunately, nag-reply, hindi daw nakapasa sa plagiarism yung paper mo. But that's also one thing na gusto ko din palang i-point out, because for some, they do not tell you directly that you failed the plagiarism report. They have this, what do you call this? Parang common or standard format in rejecting your paper. They will not enumerate the reason, pero possible is that bumagsak kayo sa plagiarism kaya hindi siya pumasa. Ano kayang nangyari doon? Bakit 99% claim ng SMU Research Center? What happened when you submitted? Bigla na lang 90%, ang passing is 95. So ano kayang nangyari doon? So of course, in the computing for the plagiarized item and the original item, of course, yun naman, yung 95% na tinutukoy ko, yung originality yun na, baka magkapalitan tayo na dapat mas mataas ang plagiarized. Ang plagiarized item, syempre, yung mas mababa kasi originality, 95% halimbawa, lumabas that the original is only let's say 90 or 85, ano kayang nangyari? Kasi one reason is that you reduce your paper, the number of words were also reduced, which means when the software will compute yung plagiarism or originality rate niya, bababa yun kasi syempre yung denominator bumaba. Kaya ko sinasabi that even if you check later napasa niya yung what they call this, napasa ninyo yung plagiarism sa research center, full paper yung ginamit ninyo, di ba? So kailangan pa din ninyong i-check uli. That's why you have your initial checking and then your final checking before you submit your paper. So that's the idea here. So you have to consider talaga na as much as possible, it is your original work. So how to install it? Nakikita nyo, no? Naka-screen share ako. Nakikita ba?
Yes po.
Yes po, ma'am.
Sige, mukhang hindi din naka-install pala dito yung Plagia. So let's do the installing of the Plagia. So if you installed it, ito siya. Itong mga ito, na-download siya sa internet naman. Yun nga lang, para hindi tayo mahirapan maghanap, kasi possible na ang mahanap nyo pa ay virus, provided na siya. So next. So this is actually the same plagiarism detector used by SMU, except that, of course, this is the demo version. And yung nasa research center, yun yung paid. Sige, so let's just wait for a while. Anyway, after this and after the Grammarly, and we're done with the first session and finish. Okay, so we are, ayan na siya. So what do you need to do? Next step is to add. So meron akong inilagay dito. Ay, teka lang. Ano ba yung pinapakita ko sa inyo? Yung mga clearance ko naman na sandali. Asan na ba tayo? Ato. Ayan. So itong paper na to, hindi ko pa siya totaling naayos, pero nakuha ko siya dun sa buong paper ko. So sabi ko nga, pwedeng pasado ako dun sa full paper. Anong nangyari dito sa na-revise? So itong ginawa ko dito is, inano ko lang yung introduction, methods, and then I just choose one particular problem. So done. Next step, start check. So it will check your paper. Though we will not wait kasi medyo matagal dahil medyo makapal yung pinili kong paper. Pero we will just allow this to run. So after maybe a few, so dapat maganda din ang internet mo. So tingnan ninyo, kina-capture niya yung mga kung saan may website na nagamit. Tapos kung nakita nyo dito, nakikita nyo, di ba, yung mga red marks na yan, yan yung mga possible na plagiarized items. Okay lang pag basta pasado pa din siya sa pasado pa din siya doon sa standard ng journal. So I already ran this, and actually in my surprise, medyo updated na din ano. Sa palagay ko may kinalaman din ang pag-update ng journals ay ng mga plagiarism. Napapansin ko din na medyo nagiging stricto siya. Ano ba yung PowerPoint natin? So when you run that, ito siya oh. This is the sample. Ganito yung makikita ninyo. So I have here, sample. Wait. Sorry. Gusto na niyang umuwi kayo. Sandali lang. Hindi pa tayo tapos. Okay, so for the sample, look at this. So reference, 33.33%. Original, 33.30%. Plagiarism, 33.33%. Anong nangyari? Pumasa yung papel nung full paper siya kasi sobrang dami yung pages niya. Natanggal siya doon sa paper, pinagsama-sama lang yung mga kailangan, pinagsama-sama lang yung kinuha ko lang yung basic, yung introduction, methods, result and discussion, at saka yung result and discussion, conclusions and recommendations, and then as one, ganyan siya. One possible reason. Part of that paper is already published. Yun pa. So talagang challenge siya. Yung partial kasi ng paper, pinablish ko na. May publish na siya. So ito, nagka-craft uli ako ng another paper for publication. Though the introduction is different. Pero syempre, yung methodology, it can be na parang halos parehas. And it can be that the same reference materials were used in the same paper na iba yung sinagutan ko. So tumaas ngayon ang plagiarism. Bakit siya tumaas? Kasi dinagdag pa dito yung papel na mismong pinablish mo. So it does not mean that because it is your paper, nakatakas ka na sa plagiarism. Meron din tayong self-plagiarism na tinatawag. So, plagiarize mo yung sarili mo. Tignan ninyo, ang taas-taas nung. And tignan ninyo, halos nandito siya sa, kasi dito, parang nakaayos siya from introduction to conclusions and recommendations. So, ang bulk ng red mark ay nandito. So, mainly because, of course, in the result and discussion, this is where I cited, this is where I used the related study to support my findings. So I have to do something about it para tumaas ngayon ang originality niya. Because if I will submit this, and because sabi ko nga, I am confident I passed the plagiarism check in the research center. That is when it is in full paper. Madami siyang words. So malaki ang denominator niya, maliit yung plagiarize. Now na na-decrease yung number of characters niya, na bumaba din ang denominator niya. So napakalaki ng 33.33%. So malamang if I will submit this without doing something about sa mga plagiarized item, babalik yung papel para sabihin na hindi ko siya original. Pero sabi ko nga, hindi naman siya directly ganun ang sasabihin. Ang napansin ko, parang common yung format nila na ang lagi nilang pino-point out is that it is not under their scope. When in fact, when you go over the papers of all the published papers in that journal, paano sana siyang hindi kasali, hindi kasama sa scope? So one reason it is because of the plagiarized items. So of course, I will not submit that because of that. I still need to fix the paper. So, nagra-run pa siya kasi medyo madami din. medyo madami din kasi yung result. Pero yun nga, at least you can get, let's see, I think it is saved somewhere. Ay, hindi pala siya naka-save somewhere kasi I use my laptop nung niran ko ito. So it will be saved in a folder in your computer, plagiarism detector din yung nakalagay, and then you can see yung result. Pero it will just give you yung percent. Parang ito nga ako. Yung nasa, nasaan na uli? Ito, parang ganito siya. Pero if you are the one who made the paper, sabi ko nga, while doing it, you can actually check na yung plagiarized item para sure ka na lahat halos yon, mapakonti yung words, mapamadami yung words, original talaga. Okay, let's move to the Grammarly. So Grammarly can be also used just to check yung basic. Pero sabi ko nga, kailangan pa din natin ng language editor. So let's go back kasi pag-aantayin natin yung result nun. Pero hopefully before mag-end, makita natin kung nasan yung paper. So just again, check this. So medyo madami siya. Get started, install. So nasa Word na siya kapag ka sinave mo. Initial checking naman. Finish. Okay, so where will I go? I will go to the paper. Yung kanina yung in-open ko. Ito siya. So when I open this, meron tayo dito Grammarly. So i-click nyo yan, open Grammarly. So the concept here is the same with when you use yung spell checker na installed in the Microsoft Office. Ganun naman na siya. Pero ito, may additional lang siya. So ito na yung mga suggestion niya. So collection 2, magdagdag daw tayo ng the collection. So it can be that your grammar editor will ask you later to remove the word the, pero sabi ko nga, for initial checking, total, it will be subjected pa din naman to the real editor, grammar editor. So you can do that. Medyo mababawasan lang yung mga yung mga mistakes sa use of is, are, was, where, mga ganun. Or kulang ng s, kulang ng spelling. So it is important for the researcher to understand. Pinapapalitan niya yan ng researchers need to understand. So it depends on you. So it can be that you're going to accept yung kanyang checking, or it can also be that you retain it and you wait also for the comment of your grammar checker. Ayan, remove the comma, correct your spelling, is statistical or statistical. So when you do this, siguro i-highlight nyo lang ng yellow. Diba yung dun sa ano ninyo, dun sa workshop ninyo, i-highlight nyo lang ng yellow yung mga binago ninyo. So that when you report like this, halimbawa, the collection, so you can just highlight this para makita lang din natin na yan, with a view to, so you can change this to make. So statistics is a practical subject devoted to obtaining and processing data to make. So it's up to you, Kako, if you want to accept to make a statement instead of which open, that open. So ganun. So pwede nyo siyang initially gamitin. So ayaw niyang i-accept yung, okay, magdagdag daw ng comma. So yun. Dito. For the workshop, I'll just ask you to work on your rationale. So you don't need to do it for all parts of the paper, but there's a but. But if you are already really preparing your paper for publication, then I suggest that even if you're going to submit the rationale only for the workshop, you also of course need to do the whole process of checking the plagiarized items, checking the what they called it, looking for the references for, of course, the revised reference of your full paper. Gawin ninyo sa buong papel ninyo. Okay. It will not, yes, it will not steal the content of the paper. Yun naman talaga ang ano ng ating plagiarism dito. Hindi siya nasa-save. Nasa iyo yun. Nasa iyo yung kwan niya. Itong ano, ang pini-question nyo ay yung demo version. Hindi siya na, wala pa akong instances na nabasa and trusted din itong, one reason siguro is that the software that we use is trusted software. So I don't think na nanakawin nila kasi masisira. Sabi ko nga, this demo version is actually yung paid na version is actually the one that we use in the research center. So I think wala namang problema doon. And then aside from that, aside from dun sa mga naipakita natin if you receive the memo before from research center, they are also suggesting for, asan na ba uli yung PowerPoint ko? Ito. They are also suggesting this one. If you will open yung ating website ng SMU library, meron tayong mga dito. So these are the open access na identified by research center din na pwede nyong gamitin. So meron ditong local, meron ditong mga ayan Ateneo de Manila. So pwede ninyong gamitin to. And even for your publication, so if you will ask me later na bakit kailangan ba international agad? Hindi naman. Actually for masters, at least local pwede. Pero for PhD, you will be required to publish sa international journal. So nandito lahat. So meron tayong local dito or hindi. And then for online tools, meron din yung Grammarly, meron din yung online plagiarism checker. You can also use this. Diba nalaman nyo na yung may mga plagiarized item. Ang problema lang dito is that it is limited into 1,000 words only. So medyo matrabaho that you have to copy and then you have to check. Sige, let's do that. Let's just try very minimal number of words, kunyari. Tingnan natin kung ano ang, teka, bawasan natin. Masyadong mahaba eh. Baka matagal na naman yung kanyang pag-generate. So what needs to be done? Ayan, I am not a robot. So meron na siyang grammar, meron siyang plagiarism. So check plagiarism. So limited into 1,000 words lang, which means if you will use this, tigo 1,000 words, and then the following uli, ganun uli. Ayan na siya, nagra-run na. So you of course need, again, internet to do this. Tanggalin natin itong mga, ayan, may mga advertisement pa siya, ayaw niya namang matanggal. Sige nga, i-click ko nga, pero hindi din natin i-open yan. Your valuable feedback. 100% unique daw to, itong nakopya ko. Please dito. So sana yung may plagiarize para makita natin. Pero anyway, kung ang gusto niyo lang malaman ay kung ilan yung percent ng original at plagiarize, pwedeng gamitin na lang yung isa, yung in-install nyo. At least ito, buo na. Ito na pala, lumabas na yung report. So once na done na siya dito, ganito yung magiging itsura niya. You can open report folders at makikita nyo doon yung originality or nagpa-pop out din siya. But it will just give you this. Kasi nga, sabi dito, you have to pay to access yung ayan, 27 plagiarized, 73 original. So you have to pay para, pero dito, kailangan din na i-redo yung pag-check kasi tingnan ninyo, 208 okay, 19 failed. Pero good number naman na daw tong 19. Kasi pagka sobrang laki nito, ibig sabihin, ang naging problema ay yung internet connection ninyo. So, habang nagra-run siya, may nagpe-fail na items dahil nga yung connection nyo hindi naging maganda. So, kailangan ko pang i-edit tong plagiarized items. How will I do that? Siyempre, hindi ko makikita dito because I am using the free. So, if I want to do that, I have to purchase or I have to ask the assistance of, or kung hindi naman, baka tiyagain ko na tignan isa-isa dun sa another tool na binigay ng library. Pero nasa inyo pa din naman yun. Pero sabi ko nga, if you're the one who are making the paper and you know that it's really copied somewhere, then medyo lagyan nyo na siguro ng red mark na alam nyo na you need to really reword this, rephrase this. So it means na madami pa kayong i-edit. Okay, so I think that's all for this session. But as mentioned, you are also expected to come up with your own output wherein, I'll go back to the workshop. This one. Actually, workshop 1 and workshop 2 dapat pala. Mukhang nagkamali ako ng pinaglagyan ng, tama ba? Workshop 1 and then for workshop 2 to save your file sa Mendeley. Okay, oo. Yung workshop 1 at 2 ang target ninyo. Mukhang na-misplace yung ano. So just convert it. And then for workshop 2, you save your files or your full folder. Pwede i-upload yung buong folder na sa Mendeley. And then complete the missing. Sabi ko nga, for the sake of the workshop, we will not ask you to do it dun sa whole paper ninyo. You can just use yung first na part, yung rationale or introduction. And then it is also okay if you will just present later 5 to 10 reference materials listed in the APA. Kasi sabi ko nga, masyadong mahabang oras din ang gugugulin ninyo, especially if you did not keep yung mga reference materials. If nandun lang sa computer ninyo, nakasave lang sana siya sa isang folder, then it's easy to do, di ba? Ilalagay nyo lang naman yung buong folder doon sa Mendeley. Pero ang problema nga, paano kung hindi? So baka medyo mahirap para sa side ninyo. So practice lang muna. Pero the next time that you're going to do a research na, make it a practice na you have a copy in the Mendeley. Okay, so I think this ends my discussion for today. Thank you for listening, but of course I will entertain questions from the audience. Sir Deo.
Yes, ma'am. May we give a beautiful applause to Dr. Gurat. Hey. Thank you, Dr. Gurat, for a very comprehensive explanation on the use of different software, such as the Mendeley, Grammarly, Plagiarism Checker, which can be used for referencing, check our grammar, and detect or determine the plagiarized items or parts of our paper. Again, we give a virtual applause to Dr. Gurat. As mentioned earlier, we will be entertaining questions. Originally, Mamayang hapon po, but a modification on the program, we will be entertaining queries or concerns on how to prepare our manuscript or with regard to the topics that being presented by Dr. Gurat. And I have read some questions being posed by our participants. May I just have the time to read some question? Dr. Gurat, the first question is from, wait. This one is from Sir Sherwin Sakin. Ma'am, what is the assurance that the plagiarism checker on the www will not steal the content of the paper being subjected to the check? Or in that case, any mechanism on the World Wide Web to which my paper shall be subjected? Or is it an upload at your own risk kind of thing? That is a question posed by Sir Sherwin Saking.
Thank you, Sir Sherwin, for that question. I think I already answered that question, as maybe I can claim that since SMU is using this software, so it's trusted. So I think it's not, diba? Kasi it's already been for how many years SMU is using the software. Though the one given to the participants is just a demo version. Pero yun nga, nasa kanila pa din if they will opt to buy yung paid, para siguro there will be a contract stating na talagang trusted siya. Pero sa palagay ko, hindi naman gagawin or gagawa ng kahit na ano itong software na ito if, yun nga, sabi ko, the fact na trusted siya by research center,